Hey, what's up? It's Jake Noose, and it is Saturday of February. I think it's the 5th of 2022. I just got a bunch of stuff today. Man, I got a lot of stuff. And what had happened earlier is I sold some magic cards to a friend of mine, and so I sold a lot of magic cards to him, and there was a lot of things where they were just not getting used, not getting touched, and I was like, you know what, he's gonna be able to use them, and I think I want to buy some games, so this will fund the games, and so it was a win-win situation. And I originally said today, as I was leaving the meetup with my buddy, I was like, you know, I need to get one controller. I just need to get one controller, and maybe I'll have a look around. So, I did a lot of looking. The first place I went to the Pink Gorilla up in the U District, and my buddy Jeff, who lives up the road from me, he's been getting into older games recently too. And so I sent him a text, and I was like, "Hey Jeff, let me know if you're looking for anything. Right now, I'm at Pink Gorilla." And I'll keep an eye out for you if you're looking for anything. And he sends me a text back, and he's like, "Oh, I was just gonna see if you wanted to go hit up a couple shops today." So I was like, "Well, come meet me here, and then let's go hit up." And so what ended up being a run for one controller ended up to be like a full on shopping spree. And you know what it is when you're like out shopping with a friend or something, you're like, "Oh, hey, look at this, you might like this," or, "Oh, hey, I think you'll like this, oh, let's talk about this." And somehow when you're with a friend, you end up buying like way more stuff than you intended. But luckily I had my shopping spree money from like all the magic cards that I sold to a friend. So that without further ado, I'll show you like some of the Pink Gorilla stuff. And now the purpose of this video is like I was gonna show like some of my coworkers in the gaming group, and I said, "Hey, if one person says they're interested in me making a video on this, then I'll make a video on it." So thanks, Sin. You gave me a purpose. So here is the controller that I got, the first party Super Nintendo controller. The Super Famicom, the Japanese one, was $5 cheaper than the North American one. So I got this, and then I was at Pink Gorilla before Jeff was, and Jeff got there and he's like, "Man, I really want a Super Famicom one because the buttons are different. They got the four colors instead of the different shades of purple, you know, like this one, for example. This one's got the different shades of purple. This is a North American release." And and I was like, "Oh yeah, well, blah 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 blah." And lo and behold, I got the last one, so I'm gonna trade it to Jeff for the purple one since he was so jazzed on that. Um, just to give you an idea, it's like kind of the games that I pick up. A lot of the games that I pick up are because of this show. So Game Center CX. This is one of my favorite shows where this guy Areno, he'll sit down and lock himself in a room and he'll play a game until he leaves. So a lot of the games that I get are games that he played, and so what I do is I try and play the game first without watching the episode and try and play it as virginly as possible, so without any walkthroughs or guides or anything like that. And then when I'm done, I go watch the episode that he filmed of it, and that way it's kind of like I'm getting to live through the same experiences that he is living through, and we both kind of have that virgin playthrough, and it just kind of has that emotional connection. And so if you haven't seen this show, I highly recommend it. It's easily one of my favorite shows of all time. But a lot of the games that I get are because there is an episode where the game is featured and he has like a playthrough on it. If there's a game that isn't on there, I'll call it out. Otherwise, you can just assume there is an episode of Game Center CX where the game is featured. Okay, on to the Pink Gorilla pickups. So, this one is long overdue. Zelda 2 for the NES. And I played through this one when I was 12, but I haven't played it since then. And of course, there is an episode on that. So looking forward to playing through that one again when that happens. Um, let's see. Next one. A great game, Donkey Kong Country 2. I played a lot of Donkey Kong Country #1 in my days, and my buddy Alex came over the other day, and we plugged in the cartridge, and I've got the Japanese version of it, and the Japanese one we're finding out is kind of different. Like the music is different. The music is different in some of the levels, and there's a couple of like minor nuances that are different. So they called it Super Donkey Kong in Japan. Donkey Kong Country. I mean, country music is American, so Donkey Kong Country music. That's what it comes from, right? Right? I don't know. I'm excited to play through that second one again too. That was a lot of fun. I'll try and leave some of the more obscure stuff for the latter. This next game is not. It's not a Game Center CX cartridge. This is just one of my favorite multiplayer games for the NES, World Cup Soccer. There's super moves in it, and it's pretty simple and straightforward. So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of times people really want to play competitive games on the NES, and there's really not too many of them. Like head-to-head 1v1, and this is a good one because it's pretty simple and it's not too complicated. So if you don't have much experience playing the game, it's fun. And usually you don't have two experts sitting next to each other playing NES games. You want it a little more even Stevens. What else? I think the rest are. Let's see. Yeah, I think the rest are Game Center CX games. So this one is a really fun game. Flashback, kind of a puzzle platformer game. I played through this probably when I was 19, I think it was. I got really into these style games of like Blackthorn and Out of This World. I got really into those kind of puzzle platformer games, and so I played through Flashback. I remember when I was 8, Kevin French rented this from the Blockbuster or the Video Update or the Hollywood Video or something like that. And I remember him telling me, "Oh my God, the graphics on this are so good. It looks real." And I went over to Kevin's house and we played it, and yeah, they did look real. They looked so good, but um, this is a puzzle game, and 8-year-olds aren't very good at puzzles, so we didn't get very far. But it's a fun game, and there's an episode of Game Center CX on it. Legacy of Wizard. This is one I don't know anything about this game, but it's on the list of games that Areno played. So I'm gonna have as virgin of an experience when that episode comes along as he did. Should be fun. This next one is on Game Center CX, and I know nothing about this. There you go. Super Wagyan Land. I have no idea what kind of game this is. I'm into the Rhino Frog, and he's pretty cool. I really hope it's not a game that involves a lot of reading. If there is, I might have to find a translation patch and plug it through, but we'll see. We'll see. $5. It'll be fun. This is a cool cartridge. Mystical Ninja 2 for Famicom. There's, of course, an episode of Game Center CX. So Jeff has been coming over, and we've been playing Mystical Ninja for the Super Nintendo an awful lot. And now this one isn't actually called Mystical Ninja, because that was the North American name for the Super Nintendo one. This one is Ganbare Goemon 2. That sound like a game show host? That's about all I know. This next one, this one did get a North American release that is a little more easy to speak, and that the North American release of this one is called Kid Cool, and it's just an action platformer. But this one was based off of this TV star, and they changed the character because North American kids don't know who this guy is. But the North American, the English one, Kakefuku no Jump Heaven. Okay, yeah, but it's Kid Cool. It's Kid Cool. This next one, man, I am so intimidated by this game. This is kind of a notorious Famicom cartridge that, and when I say notorious, It's notoriously cryptic and notoriously difficult and challenging. There's a lot of RNG and a lot of grinding involved, and also a lot of just unavoidable damage. So they didn't release it in North America. And I distinctly remember in the Game Center CX episodes that I have seen, it wasn't dedicated to an entire episode, but it was like a series of episodes where he would call viewers. They would send in postcards, and the postcards to the show would say like, "Hey, I'm familiar with this game, and I know some secrets about it." And so he'd pick up the phone and he'd call these viewers and be like, "What the hell do I do?" Because the game is that difficult. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this one on my own. And this is like, over the course of multiple episodes, they didn't dedicate a single one to it. And it was just kind of a brief segment that they spliced in the middle of it. Maybe I'll be able to find a friend to play with me on this one. I know like my buddy Dan over in Massachusetts, Brian Oblivion online, he might be able to play this game alongside of me because he's got a taste for the swamp as well. But I don't really know what the Western title of this cartridge is. Um, but there we can see Gansal Saikuyuki Sayuki Super. Okay, I don't know, but I don't even know what company made this, to be honest. It's like something that they just completely abandoned. We'll see, though. We'll see when that cryptic game comes along. What else we got in here? Oh, this is cool. Ninja Gaiden. This one. I've got Ninja Gaiden 2 for the NES, but the first one, usually the Japanese cartridges are cheaper than the Western cartridges. So this one, it's about $30 for an NES cartridge. So this one's a little bit cheaper if you get the Famicom one. And Ninja Gaiden, you don't gotta read at all unless you really care about those cutscenes. But we'll see. That one, of course, is very hard. I've never beaten it before, but I played it a lot in 2011. The English cartridge. I haven't played the Famicom one, so I don't know if it's any different. This next one is pretty challenging too. This is a cartridge that wasn't released. I don't think it was released in North America. Wings of Medulla, and this one is kind of the spiritual successor to, oh god, what is that dungeon game? What is the dungeon game that I'm thinking of? Hang on, I got it over here. I got the dungeon game that I'm thinking of. I gotta... Sorry, that was probably loud in the mic. But, no. That's not it. There we go. Tower of Druaga. There we go. Wings of Medulla is, I think, the sequel to Tower of Druaga. I think, if I'm remembering right. Also a game that didn't come out to the United States for being too cryptic and difficult. So, Wings of Medulla was a especially challenging episode of Game Center CX that spanned multiple episodes. He wasn't able to clear it in one, and so they had to span it into another, and he barely cleared it in the other one, if I remember correctly. So this one should be real hard. Controls, if I remember correctly, are just like bonkers, really pressure sensitive and difficult platforming. Lots of cryptic puzzles, 100 levels, and when you beat a level, it can take you to the wrong one and put you in dead ends. So definitely gonna have to make a walk through as a deep journal entry as I play this one. But that should be fun. I like the idea of that. This next one was not a Game Center CX cartridge. This is one that my buddy Dan in Massachusetts told me about. Brian Oblivion. This one, what is it called again? Bokosuka Wars. So he told me, he's like, hey, this is a shit game that is actually a lot of fun. So they call these Kosuge games, I believe, where it's just like too difficult. Like they say that they're just bad games. Just the word translates to shit, I believe. But I don't know. I think they got a special charm in my book, and I think it's fun to play alongside of them with a friend because you can. If you're just swapping notes every other day on the phone or something like that, it just kind of has that playground vibe where you're trying to play together and trying to piece things together and clue things, and creates kind of a community about it. But he beat this, he cleared it, and it's pretty notorious. So I saw it; it was $6, and if Dan lived closer to me, I'd be buying him a drink every week, every weekend. To be seeing him, buying him a drink, and this is kind of like buying him a drink because we'll get together and hang out and chat about it. So should be fun when that happens. Well, I don't know. He's played some pretty. he's he's a lot more of a masochist when it comes to games. um, Next one got Sky Kid. Don't know anything about this except that it's on the list of episodes, and I think it's going to be a shmup. I hope it is, because that's my forte. I specialize in the shmups. So we'll see. There's a plane on it, so that's my guess. There might be a lot of bullet dodging and shooting. We'll see if that's the case. This next one, some of you may be familiar with it, Legend of Zelda. So the Game Boy Advance version was $5 cheaper than the NES cartridge. So yeah, I'll get that. I can play it on the TV here with my Retron 5. So this is also on the list, and I played the hey ho dealio out of this game growing up, first and second quest. So it's fun. I got two more games that I got from Pink Gorilla. This next one, I don't know about this. Adventures of Tom Sawyer. This was on an episode of Game Center CX, but I don't know how many Mark Twain books they read in Japan schools, because I know how many Mark Twain books we read in American schools, and it's like, you get assigned to read the books, but do you really read them? I mean, really? And then after the fact, after school, how many people read a Mark Twain book after the fact? It's like, nobody does that for joy. So people around here, like, I don't know what to expect of that game, but it can't be as boring as the book, right? I mean, well, maybe that's a terrible thing to say. Maybe it's highly entertaining. This next one, I don't know anything about other than it was on my spreadsheet. Musashi no Ken. So I have no idea what kind of game this is. I don't know if it's a strategy game. I don't know if it involves reading. I don't know if I'll have to get a translation patch to play it. I don't know if it's an action platformer, but we will see. Apparently, it's there's some sort of combat because versus. Maybe I'm one of these people and they fight each other as they, I don't know. They look like cooks. They look like they're wearing chef aprons. So maybe they'll make dinner and see whose dinner is better. But that's everything I got at the Pink Gorilla today. You can see, that was a lot more than just one controller. But they're all games that I'm probably, I got like a year's supply of games today with this transaction of the magic cards. So after, Jeff met up with me in the U District, and then we went up to like the Greenwood neighborhood, and we went to Game Gurus on Aurora. And Game Gurus, they've got a lot of stuff there. That's where I got my Raspberry Pi system. The questionable legal device that has a bunch of emulators and ROMs on it, but you only use it within the guidance of the legality of everything, of course, and it will never be used in any sort of illegal manners. But we went up to Game Gurus, and I got this Street Fighter Anniversary Collection for the PS2. This is the only game that I got there. I'm kind of hesitant on buying games there sometimes. There's been a couple of times when I've tried to buy a cartridge there, and I could tell that it was a repro cart and not a real cart before I purchased it, and I backed out of the purchase. So there's been a couple of times when there's been things like that, but it's a lot harder to make a repro disc for some of the disc-based games. But this Street Fighter collection, it was only $12, and it's got Street Fighter 3 Third Strike on it. And this is kind of the cheapest way to play Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. So this was on the arcade cabinets of this was using the Capcom's CPS3 system, which doesn't emulate very well at home because it's just so technical. So you kind of have to play this on a console, and there's not really a way to do it. If you want to play it on Dreamcast, the Dreamcast copy of this is going to set you back like $120. And if you want to get the Street Fighter 3 Third Strike disc only for PS2, it's also going to be pretty expensive as well. So there's like a couple of Street Fighter 3 ones that came out for PS2, and they're all like collector's items. But this one, I guess nobody likes Hyper Street Fighter 2 for some reason, and it is the black mark that downgraded the price. But I don't know. I think it's gonna people will catch on that Third Strike is on this, and then I don't think it's gonna be $12 much longer than that. I mean, that's what happened with Dracula X on the PSP compilation, but I'm probably just soapboxing as I talk about that. But after Game Gurus, we went up a little bit further north to Edmonds, and we went up to another castle, which is a place that's kind of like it's part game store, part arcade. They got a ton of pinball machines over there, and it's a cool place. They had a lot of hard to find stuff as well. You know what's crazy is we saw a Nintendo 64 disc drive there that was for sale, which is not real. They only made prototypes of it. I don't think it ever was released even in Japan, if I'm remembering right. And they advertised it as a 64 DD, which was going to be like the Sega CD. You plug this tower, your Nintendo 64 on top of this tower, and then you play CD based games. But they had a prototype there, and they were selling it for $2,500, and the sticker was just like right slapped onto it, which was kind of weird. And they had some Mario game that they were selling with it. It was like it looked like a symphony thing, or like a newer version of Mario Paint or something like that. But we saw that there, and it was just bizarre. So I didn't even know those things existed. But needless to say, I did not buy that. I didn't sell that many Magic cards today. But dug around. They had a lot of rare stuff, and they also had a lot of common stuff that I had just been kind of looking for. This one was a game that I never finished and think about all the time. It's this Shadow of the Colossus for PS2. This game just has such a unique atmosphere to it. I really liked Ico, or Eco, or however you want to pronounce it. And I know there's a lot of game designers now that kind of throw back to this game or whatever, but I don't know. I always liked kaiju and like giant monsters and crap. And so this game, when it came out, was just kind of a dream come true to me. And I never did finish it. That time I decided I was only going to play games on the hardest difficulties when I got them home, because that way they would last me longer. But that resulted in me not completing a lot of games. And then, video game collection purges happen. But I don't think Shadow of the Colossus, I don't think there's an episode of Game Center CX on that one. So that one's just a me game, not a project game. F-Zero, Super Nintendo, kind of pricey, but sometimes these names that are popular end up being that way. There's an episode on that, as there is Pilot Wings. So F-Zero, of course, just like racing game that's like all based on Mode 7 graphics. It was a release title with the Super Nintendo, so it's old as dirt. It's about as old as you can get for Super Nintendo games. And I believe Pilot Wings was also a release title, if I remember correctly. So this one is a game that the concept of it just bored me to death as a kid, and I'm like, no, there's no way in hell I'm gonna play a game about flying an airplane. I played Flight Simulator on my cousin's Macintosh, and that was boring. Why would I play it on my Super Nintendo? But I have faith that the designers at Nintendo have something more than just a flight simulator. And it seemed like, from what I remember of the episode of Game Center CX, it seemed like it was fun. It seemed like it was a fun game. Also, Super R-Type. I love me these kind of shoot 'em up games, and R-Type was a game that I dumped a lot of quarters in at Dorky's Arcade in Tacoma in about 2010. But I've never played Super R-Type, and this is a cartridge that I've been looking for a while. There's an episode on it, so should be fun. Get to play that. What else we got? Ooh, Who Runs Bartertown? Blaster Master, or Master Blaster, whatever. But I remember in Boy Scouts, I was 12, and what was his name? Reed. His last name was Reed, and Brent. It was Brent. Brent Reed told me that Blaster Master is the most difficult game for the NES, and I never played it. And I never played through it, even though that was kind of a tempting challenge when I heard him say that. And I'm like, oh, I got to beat it and show him up, and everything. But he was a year older than me, which meant he was smarter in every single way. So there's no way I could one-up him. But you know what? Maybe 25 years later, I'll get to show him up. I mean, I'm pretty sure Areno beat this one. It's Sunsoft, right? It's Sunsoft, yeah. So I feel like Sunsoft... the designers of the game, I feel like me and them, we get along well. Like they know how to design a good game, and they know how to leave appropriate clues. They know how to have good platformers. And I've struggled with some of their games in the past, but a lot of them get a lot more flack than they deserve, in my opinion. Like, everybody talks about Fester's Quest and how terrible Fester's Quest is, but I liked it, and I cleared it. I cleared it in 2 sit-downs. I didn't think it was that bad. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. All right, so, Adventure Island. This one, Hudson Soft. Now, Hudson Soft, these people, they know how to punish players. So, I expect this one to be difficult. I remember renting this cartridge when I was in like 2nd or 3rd grade, but I never sat down and cleared it after the fact. And I do have a version for Game Boy, but the blur on it makes it a little difficult, so I would have to play it on the TV, and I don't know if the TV clears it or not. But this is a Game Center CX cartridge, and this one should be difficult. I expect this one to be way more difficult than Blaster Master, to be honest, especially from what I've heard about it. This next one is also a Game Center CX cartridge, Spelunker. This was a game that I played a lot in 1st grade over at Jason Yurka's house, because they had like 20 Nintendo games. They had a ton. And this game was cool because you could get a machine gun and shoot a ghost. I tried playing this a couple other times because I remember how difficult it was as a kid, and the difficulty is still there. So I think this one will be a lot of fun to try and clear, because it's definitely like a 1985 Punisher style game. It looks like it's made by Broderbund, so I think that means that this was a computer game before it was an NES cartridge. So I don't know. It's been about a decade since I played Spelunker, but I expect that one to be pretty challenging as well. So the last 3 things I got were not Game Center CX cartridges. They're just personal games for me. This one is one of my favorite baseball games. I'm not really like a fan of baseball. I'll go to the stadium and eat a hot dog and watch it. I think that'll be fun. But Cyber, what does this say? Cyber Stadium Series Base Wars. Unfortunately, this is the only game in the Cyber Stadium series. They did not release any other ones that I know of. Base Wars is the only one. But yeah, you're these robots and you play baseball. Anytime you get tagged out in Base Wars, you have the opportunity to enter a one-on-one combat with whoever tagged you out. And if you destroy that robot, then you're safe. So it's kind of like Mutant League Football or Mutant League Hockey in the sense that there's just unnecessary violence in it, and it just breaks the entire rules of the sport in a unique manner. So this is, alongside of World Cup Soccer, this is a really fun one-on-one game when somebody comes over and they're like, hey, let's play a competitive game where we're working against each other. You know, it's a slow learning curve as long as you understand the basics of baseball, and the combat is not really anything more than button mashing. So, but it's fun and exciting, which is unique. So this is a game that is stupid. And if somebody says, oh, I'm really good at this game, then you know they're kind of an idiot, because this is trash, but it's fun trash. And so that's why I got it. It's been on my list for a while. And, I haven't been able to find it for some reason. I was surprised that it was so cheap. I thought it was going to be like $100 cart, because of the fact that I haven't seen a cartridge of it for, you know, years and years out in the wild. But I saw it, so I don't really go digging online hardly at all. The next game that I got is a game that I've always been wanting to play because of my fascination with those Flashback and Blackthorn and Out of This World games, and that's Oddworld Abe's Odyssey. I've never played through any of the Oddworld games, but I've seen clips of it, and I understand that it's like the same concept of that kind of puzzle platformer with slight action to it. I haven't played the other Oddworld games either, so I'm looking for Oddworld Abe's Exodus as well. That should be fun to play. I probably should have looked at the disc before I bought it. I hope it's not scratched up. Is it okay? I think it's okay. Yeah, I think it's okay. Okay, good. We're good. Then the last thing that I got is not a game at all, and it's something that's a little personal to me. I got these FuncoLand cartridge cases. So these are for the NES. And if you don't know what FuncoLand is, it's, you know, before there was GameStop, there was FuncoLand. And it was kind of like a pawn shop where you could trade in your Nintendo cartridges and you'd get some credit. And then you could go and buy a new secondhand cartridge. And they used to print out these like monthly newspapers that you would get, and it would have the new monthly prices for the games, because sometimes games would become more rare than others, or sometimes there would be a spike in the market. And so 11-year-old me, who wasn't savvy enough to get a job or to be mowing lawns in the neighborhood or anything like that, I would go in the summer season in between classes. I would go to garage sales, and I had like the hot ticket items memorized in my head of whatever FuncoLand was selling for the time being.